Returns, new season of Little People, Big World, 2025, shock reveal. Fans of Little People, Big World had grown used to waiting, but this time felt different. The silence wasn't just long, it was uncomfortable. Social media pages that once buzzed with behind-the-scenes photos and cryptic captions had gone quiet. Even the Roloff family themselves, usually divided but vocal, seemed to retreat into carefully controlled posts about everyday life. And that's what made the rumors so powerful. It started with a single photo, a wide shot of Roloff Farms, early morning light, pumpkin fields empty. No caption, no explanation. Within hours, fans noticed something strange. Production trucks, barely visible near the barn. The kind of trucks that hadn't been there in years. Someone zoomed in. Someone else enhanced the image. Another fan compared it to old filming setups from previous seasons. The conclusion spread fast. They're filming again. But no one from TLC said a word. Matt Roloff was the first to break the tension, without actually breaking it. He posted a story that lasted only 24 hours. A short clip. The camera pointed at the farm road, gravel crunching under tires, then his voice, casual but deliberate. Busy times ahead. That was it. No hashtags, no explanation, no mention of the show. The comment sections exploded. Some fans were thrilled, others were skeptical. Many remembered how fractured the family had become, the public disagreements, the farm sale drama, the children moving on, the feeling that Little People, Big World had already told its final chapter. Or so everyone thought. Behind the scenes, something bigger was happening. Negotiations that had stalled years ago were quietly reopened. Contracts were revisited, old conditions rewritten, new boundaries drawn. This wasn't about recreating the past, it was about controlling the future. Amy Roloff, once the emotional center of the show, had been hesitant. She had rebuilt her life carefully, away from the chaos of cameras. Peace mattered more now. But sources close to production say the offer wasn't framed as a return, it was framed as a conclusion. One last chapter, she was told, a chance to tell the story your way. Jeremy and Zach had their own reservations. Years of public scrutiny had left scars. But parenthood changes perspective. Legacy matters. And suddenly, the idea of documenting where the family had landed, rather than where it broke apart, felt meaningful. Then came the twist no one expected. TLC didn't want a reunion season. They wanted a reset, a new season, a new structure, a focus not just on conflict, but consequence. What happens after reality TV fame fades? What happens when families grow apart, and then age forces reflection? The 2025 season wouldn't pretend the fractures never happened. It would lean into them. Every unresolved tension, every uncomfortable truth, every quiet regret. And that's why the title internally wasn't Little People, Big World, The Return. It was something else entirely. Something heavier, something final. But the public wasn't supposed to know yet. Until a leaked production schedule surfaced online. One line caught everyone's attention. Episode 1, The Return No One Asked For. That's when fans realized this season wasn't coming back to please anyone. It was coming back to reveal everything. And the Roloff family had already agreed. There was no cheerful reunion, no dramatic hugs for the camera, no staged laughter. Instead, there was hesitation. A production assistant stepped onto the gravel driveway of Roloff Farms just after sunrise. The air was cold, the kind that makes every sound feel louder. Boots crunched, doors closed softly. Equipment cases were carried with more care than usual, as if even the crew understood this wasn't just another season. Matt Roloff arrived first. He didn't say much. He nodded at a few familiar faces, people he hadn't seen in years, people who had once been part of his daily life. The camera followed him from a distance, not close enough to intrude, but close enough to catch the weight in his posture. This wasn't nostalgia. It was reckoning. Amy arrived later. Her car stopped near the farmhouse. She stayed inside for several seconds longer than necessary. The engine was still running when she finally opened the door. The camera caught her eyes scanning the property, every fence, every field, every place where years of arguments had unfolded under bright studio lights. She whispered something under her breath. The microphone picked it up. "Okay, let's just get through today." That single sentence set the tone for everything that followed. There was no script, no forced conversation, just people trying to exist in the same space again. When Amy and Matt saw each other, they didn't immediately speak. They stood several feet apart, awkward and quiet. The silence lasted long enough to feel intentional. Finally, Matt broke it. "So, we're doing this?" Amy nodded. "Looks like it." That was it. No past rehashed, no apology demanded, no argument reignited. But the tension was unmistakable. Producers knew better than to rush it. They let moments breathe. Long pauses stayed in the edit. The discomfort wasn't smoothed over, it was preserved. Because this season wasn't about pretending everything was fine. It was about showing what real looks like after the cameras leave. Later that day, Zach and Tori arrived with their kids. Their energy was different, protective, cautious. Zach had been one of the most vocal about stepping away from the show in the past. He had said his piece publicly, he had drawn his line. Now he was back. But not as a son trying to prove something, as a father. When asked why he agreed to film again, he didn't hesitate. "I want my kids to understand where they come from," he said, "not just the farm, the hard parts too." Jeremy and Audrey were noticeably absent that first day. That absence didn't go unnoticed. Fans would later debate it endlessly, reading into every missing face, every unexplained gap. But behind the scenes, the truth was simpler and more complicated at the same time. Not everyone was ready, not everyone ever would be, and TLC wasn't forcing it. That alone marked a dramatic shift from earlier seasons. This time, participation wasn't mandatory. Presence wasn't assumed. Boundaries were respected, which made every appearance matter more. By the end of the first filming week, something unexpected happened. The family sat down together. Not for a meal, not for a staged scene, but for a conversation that wasn't supposed to be filmed. The cameras were already rolling when it began. Amy asked a simple question. "Why are we really here?" No one answered right away. Matt looked down at the table. Zach leaned back in his chair. Tori held her hands together tightly. The room felt heavy. Not hostile, just honest. Finally, Matt spoke. "Because we don't get unlimited time," he said, "and pretending we do almost cost us everything." No one argued. That moment would later become the emotional spine of the season, because what followed wasn't explosive drama. It was something far rarer on reality television: reflection, regret, and the uncomfortable truth that some damage can't be undone, only understood. That would permanently change the future of Little People, Big World. Had to, but because he was thinking. Every stop felt intentional. The old pumpkin patch, the western town set, the barn that once echoed with children's laughter and later with silence. "This place raised us," he said quietly, mostly to himself. "And then it broke us." That line stayed in the cut. For years, fans had argued over the farm situation. Who deserved it? Who was offered what? Who walked away? Online debates turned vicious, fueled by half-truths and emotional loyalty. The new season didn't try to correct the internet. It showed the truth as it existed inside the family. Zach and Matt walked the property together for the first time since their public falling out. The conversation was stiff at first, full of practical comments about maintenance and structures. But then Zach stopped near the old play area. "This was supposed to be for the kids," he said, "not negotiations." Matt didn't interrupt. "I wanted to protect it," Matt replied. "I didn't realize I was protecting it from you." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument they'd ever had on screen. This season didn't rely on raised voices. It relied on what wasn't said. Interview. People forget that. Producers made a deliberate choice here. They didn't cut away. They let her finish. "It was mine too," she continued, "and losing it felt like losing my voice." That confession reframed years of footage in a single moment. Meanwhile, the next generation watched from the sidelines. Zach's kids didn't understand the tension, but they felt it. Children always do. Cameras captured small human details. A child tugging at Zach's sleeve while adults spoke in careful tones. Tori gently redirecting attention away from difficult conversations. The future was in the room, and it was watching. Then came the meeting everyone had been avoiding. A formal sit-down, no crew chatter, no distractions, just the adults. The topic, there were no more nervous jokes, no careful phrasing, no pretending the past didn't exist. The crew noticed it first. Conversations stretched longer, silences stopped feeling awkward and started feeling necessary. People spoke more slowly, choosing words with intention. This wasn't reality TV as it used to be. This was something closer to a documentary, unfiltered and occasionally uncomfortable. The producers decided to do something they had never done before on Little People, Big World. They stopped giving prompts. No suggested topics. No, "Can you talk about that again?" No nudging toward conflict. They simply let the family talk. And that's when the hardest questions surfaced. It started with Zach. They were sitting near the old barn, the one that had appeared in dozens of episodes over the years. The kids were nearby, playing just out of frame. The sound of laughter drifted in and out of the conversation like a reminder of what was at stake. Zach stared at the ground before he spoke. "Do you ever think," he asked quietly, "that the show made us worse at being a family?" The question landed heavy. No one rushed to answer. Even the crew stayed silent. Amy was the first to respond. "I think," she said slowly, "it made us very good at surviving and very bad at listening." Matt didn't disagree. He leaned back, exhaled and said, "When there's a camera, you start performing, even when you don't mean to." That single line reframed everything. Years of arguments, public fights, on-camera decisions that later felt irreversible. What if they hadn't just been family conflicts? What if they'd been performances under pressure? The realization didn't absolve anyone, but it softened the edges. Later that day, Amy filmed a solo segment. She sat alone in a quiet room, sunlight coming through the window. No dramatic music, no cuts, just her voice. "I stayed longer than I should have," she admitted. "Not in the marriage, in the show." Season, because momentum is dangerous when no one asks where you're headed. Jeremy finally appeared in part 3. His arrival wasn't dramatic, but it was intentional. He made it clear he wasn't there to relive old conflicts.